Okay, so like I said, welcome so much for joining me on this open workshop. And just to give you a little bit about, I think I told you about myself. So I'm the entrepreneur education specialist at the school, and my role is helping students get from point A to B when it comes to starting a business. Now, not all students that come to me are looking to start a business right away, but what I always say is it's a great exercise to understand how businesses work. Because no matter what your career path is, everything is a business. So understanding the components of a business is crucial. And so that's what I do at the school. So I actually help students that want to find that path and eventually get onto that path. But as far as this business writing support session, what I do with students in particular. So here you can see, and I know the type is a little small, but I'm going to read it for you. Here you can see I was working with a student who is a non-business major, never wrote a business plan in her life, and she didn't know where to start. And through our open workshops and one-on-one sessions, she actually got her grade back and sent me this email. And basically, she was telling me that she got a 23 out of a 25 on her business plan. And this is coming from someone who thought that she was going to get a 10 on the business plan. And through our work together and guidance, we were able to help her get that grade. Now, that's my hope for you, Alberto. That's what I'm looking to do. I'm looking to help you go from not having any experience with writing a business plan and being able to understand the mechanics and the technical parts of writing the business plan. So with that said, the way, and I'll talk more about the course structure, but the way this is structured as far as our open workshops are to move pretty fast, to cover topics at a really high level. And if you decide, and we did this before, if you decide to want to meet with me one-on-one, then we'll get into more of the technical writing of it. Does that make sense? Great, great. Okay, so what I want you to do, Alberto, can you just tell me I already know your name, but still tell me your name, what's your major, and what's the idea for the business you plan on doing? The idea, what's your idea for the business plan? Perfect. Okay, so you have the idea it sounds like you have the idea pretty much nailed down. At least the bones of the idea. Yes, the bones of the idea. Great. So the way this course is structured, as you know, Alberto, it's not enough just to have an idea. Everybody has an idea. And the cool thing about writing a business plan is it gives you the tools to take that idea and to create and organize that idea in a way that you can communicate it to others. And so the first step in that is as soon as the first step in that is developing your vision statement. So taking that idea and turning it into the vision. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at 6 questions that you're going to need to ask yourself before writing your vision statement. And then we're going to look at some examples of vision statements. That way you can get a general idea of what these vision statements need to look like. And then the third part of this module is we're going to actually do an exercise where you're going to write your statement. And one thing I want to point out, Alberto, is I like to ask a lot of questions. I'm a really big believer in asking the right questions. So I'm not going to be making statements about what you should do. I'm going to challenge you to think, to actually get involved in crafting this yourself. So the fourth module, we're going to look at writing your mission statement. And we're going to go into the 4 questions that you're going to need to ask yourself before you start writing your mission statement. We're going to look at some mission statement examples. And then once again, you're going to have an exercise to be able to draft your mission statement as well. And then lastly, we're going to end off with looking at writing your marketing plan. So once you have your vision statement and your mission statement, now you want to get the message out. You want to let people know that you're here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do an audit. We're going to assess your business idea through a SWOT analysis. Are you familiar with SWOT analysis? SW. Okay, great. So we're going to get into detail about that. So we're going to look at in terms of is it a good idea or not? Or what are the opportunities? So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to look at the marketing mix of the things that you need to think about in terms of putting your marketing plan together. And then lastly, we're going to look at the 5 questions that you're going to need to ask yourself before writing your marketing plan. So how's that sound? If that makes sense, put a 1 in the chat to make sure. Just put a 1 in the chat. Yep, good. Yep, all right, we can move on. So now one thing I want to point out, Alberto, is that there is a very thin line between what a vision statement is and what a mission statement is. And it almost sounds the same. But what I want to do is just go through the different nuances of the mission and vision statement. So in terms of your mission statement and what it's about, you're looking at, it talks more to the how you will get to where you want to be. How are you going to do it? Where the vision statement, it outlines the where you want to be. Okay? And then for the mission statement, the question that you want to answer with the mission statement is, what do we do? And what makes us different? So as you're crafting the mission statement, those things need to come out. For the vision statement, it's where do we aim to be as a result of this business? What's our visions? What is the world going to look like as a result of us being in business? And then from a time perspective, the mission statement talks about the present and how it's going to lead us into the future. Okay? It talks about the present, like what's going on now, and how it's going to lead into the future. Where the vision statement is really fully focused on the future and the world that the business will be in 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And then the function of the mission statement, it lists out the broad goals. So it's looking at the goals that you're setting for yourself and how you're organizing your business around those goals. So it's a lot more, the mission statement is a lot more concrete. It's more tangible. It's not a statement that's out there. It's more of a tangible statement because you're drafting goals. But they're the big goals, they're the big picture goals, and how you're going to organize your esports company around that. And then the vision statement, it shapes your understanding of why you are working on what you're working on and how you see the future shaping in the esport industry. Like, how do you see the esport industry shaping and what role are you going to play in that shaping? Whether that be a local role or whether that be a global role. Either way, it's going to be the functioning characteristic of your vision statement. And then the dynamic of change. So in a mission statement, the mission statement is always going to be evolving. Why is that mission statement going to be evolving? Because look at COVID-19. Who would have thought we would have been facing this type of pandemic at this time? And a lot of businesses are rethinking their mission or how they're delivering against their mission. But the difference with the vision statement, there's minimum change, because with the vision statement, you're looking at how the world's going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, and how you position yourself. So there's minimum change to that. But the mission statement, it's always evolving. And then As you're developing your statement and actually crafting it, you want to ask yourself, like, why do we do what we do? That should show up in the statement that you're making as a business, as an esports business. Why do you do what you do? Who are you doing it for, and why? And are you doing your esport business for high school students, adult players, gamers? So really focusing in on who you're doing it for and why you're doing it. And then with the vision statement is, where do we want to be going forward as a business? When do you want to get there? And then will you get there? So so if you see the pattern here, the pattern is that the vision, the statement that you make in terms of your vision, it should be compelling, looking into the way you see the world in the future. Where the mission statement, it's more along the lines of, it's more tactical, it's more tangible to the people that are reading it. The combination of your vision and mission statement should be compelling, because no one wants to hear a boring mission and vision statement. If you want people to get on board of what you're doing, having a compelling vision and mission statement is super, super critical. So the time that you put in up front to ask yourself these questions and think about what it is that you want to do, it's going to save you a lot of time when you start crafting your business plan for your class. Does that make sense, Alberto? You can just put a 1. Yep. Perfect. Okay. So let's move on. So now that you understand the nuances of the vision and mission statement, let's dive a little bit deeper into making this statement for the vision that you see for the world and your business. So these are the 5 questions that you need to ask yourself. Now, the first question that you're going to ask yourself, Alberto, is, where do you see your esports business, this facility, 5 to 10 years from now? You don't have to answer. I'm just hypothetically speaking. Take some time to think about that. Where do you see it? Okay. Then the second question is, why does your esport business need to exist? Why does it even need to exist? Is there a demand for it? Are people asking for it? Are you seeing shifts in the way people are gaming and what people are looking for? But nailing down why does it exist is going to be important. The third question you're going to need to think about, Alberto, is, what will success look like for your business? You want to define success, because if you don't define success early, you're going to be going back and forth. So defining what success will look like for you is going to be super critical. Some people get into business and they may say to themselves, success could be, I'm going to build this esport platform, and my end game is to sell it off to a bigger esports platform that I'm going to sell this business to. That could be success for them. Some people's success is, you know what? I just want to make sure that I can serve my local community while being able to take care of my needs, being able to provide a full-time income, hire some local high school students to work on this, and that's success for them. But you want to define what success looks like for you, because it's so different across the board. And the fourth question you want to ask yourself, Alberto, is, what company type or structure would be best to operate this business? Now, the reason why this is important is because the structure of your business can take 2 different paths. The structure of your business can either be a non-profit, not-for-profit business, or a for-profit business. So, for instance, if you structure your esport platform as a non-profit business, your mission statement may be, I'm creating an esport business for at-risk youth so that they can stay off the streets. That's more of a non-profit type business. Now, if you structure your business as a for-profit, you're doing it with the intent to make a profit, to make money for yourself, to make money to pay your employees, to make money for anybody who may lend you money or invest in you, to pay them back. Not saying that you don't need money in a nonprofit business, because you do need to make money, but it's just a different intent. So you want to understand what structure you want to build your business through. And then the last question you want to ask yourself before writing your vision statement is, what is the measurable goal you would like to reach? And it's so important. The key word here is measurable. So you can measure your vision statement in certain ways. You can either use a time measurement where you say by 2030, we want to be XYZ, because you put a time measurement. Or you can say you can put like the number of people you want to touch. So we want to touch 100,000 people that come onto our esport platform. Either way, the bottom line is it needs to be measurable. You need to be able to look back at it and say, hey, we did that. But it's 2030 and we were able to do the things that we said we were going to do 10 years ago. Or we were able to reach the number of people that we said we were going to reach. So these are the 5 questions that you're going to need to ask yourself. So just take some time to think about it quickly. And I will send a PowerPoint of this so that way you can have this and work on it on your own time. Okay. So do you recognize any of these logos? These logos, we interact with these logos on a daily basis in some way, shape, or form. We see these logos, the Nike sign, the Walmart sign, Disney, Starbucks, Tesla, McDonald's. These logos have been ingrained in our psyche. From the time we were little, we've seen these logos in some capacity. But one of the things that I want to point out is that a lot of the reason why these logos are so impressionable is because of the vision behind the logos. Because the swoosh sign is just a check mark, basically. There's nothing really special about that swoosh sign. But when you read their vision statement to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world, that vision statement is very inspirational. It pulls you into their world. So one of the characteristics of that vision statement is it needs to be compelling. That's what I was saying before. It needs to be compelling. Look at McDonald's. To be the world's best quick service restaurant experience. Now, no matter, even that vision statement has kept McDonald's through times when people were being very critical of the quality of food that they were serving people. When the documentary Super Size Me came out and people were protesting eating at McDonald's. Why was McDonald's able to weather the storm? It's because of because of their vision statement. Their vision statement wasn't to be the best quality food. That's not the business that they're in. It's to be the best quick service restaurant experience. So after that backlash, they changed, well, in some ways, they changed some of the menu offerings. So they started offering more healthier options in the Happy Meals, including apples and yogurt and salads, things that McDonald's wouldn't normally have. But that doesn't change their vision of being the world's best quick service restaurant experience. So I'm not saying, Alberto, you're going to be the next Nike or Starbucks. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying here is you can learn what it takes to write. You can learn from how they wrote their vision statements, and you can use it as you're crafting your vision statement. Okay? So let's look at, this is like an X-ray. We're going to do an X-ray of the vision statement. And these are the the bones of what you need to create your vision statement. So there's two different ways you can go about it. The first way is you can just craft an ideal or an ideal perfect world scenario. So, for instance, an example of that would be a world without hunger, or a world without hunger, or a world where everybody has access to education. You know, it's an ideal, it's your perfect world scenario. That is one way to craft your vision statement. The second way, and this is the way that the brands that I just showed in your last slide used, um, they break it down into two components: an aspiration, and then their aspiration in a certain category. So for the McDonald's example I gave you, to be the world's best quick service restaurant experience is an example of that. So the aspiration here is to be the world's best quick service, quick service. So they want to be the best at giving quick service, which they're great at it. They're the best in the business at doing it. And then it talks about the category. So the category is the restaurant experience. So it's really important. In our last workshop, one of the students said they wanted to be the number one software solution provider in the industry. And I challenged him on it. I said, what industry? What category? I said, do you want to be the best in the restaurant category where you're providing websites to restaurants? Do you want to be the best in the sports category where you're providing websites to sports teams? So I challenged him to get specific about the category. That's going to help when you're communicating your vision statement, and even when you're telling it to yourself, it's going to help you stay on track to what you're aspiring to be. Does that make sense, Alberto? Just great. Okay. So this is what I'm going to have you do. Take 2 minutes to you choose one of the different ways to craft out your vision statement and do it for your business idea, for your esports idea. So take 2 minutes. First, what you want to do is choose what what uh what outline you want to use, and then craft out your statement. You can start now. And then once you're done crafting it, just drop it in the chat button, the chat box. So think about the aspiration. What are you aspiring to be as a business? And you already identified your category, which is esports. But esports is pretty broad. Can you drill down into is it a specific game? Is it in the Fortnite category? You want to create a platform for those that love to play Fortnite. Get specific. So when you finish it, just drop it in the chat box. Okay, so take your line off unmute, Alberto, and read it out loud. Because I need you to hear yourself say it. Okay. Okay. So what's the aspiration? Okay. Yep. Yeah. So the aspiration is to be the best competitive sports center. That's the aspiration. The best part is the aspiration. You want to be the best. You just don't want to be the second best. You want to be when people think about your esports center, they're thinking about you. When they Google esports center in the Lehigh Valley, guess who's number one? You. So the category is the esports center. Now, I would challenge you when you say esports center, do you think that that's going to, like, let's say I'm a high school student, will I call it an esports center? Would I Google if I'm a high school student? I know I want to get. I know I want to game with other gamers. I know I want to find a spot. Is that what I'm going to be Googling? Okay. 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 Well, if that's a industry standard, like if you're seeing people calling it a center, then you want to work with how people are already doing it. You don't want to change your behavior. I was just asking to see, like, in terms of if that's the way how people identify it. Oh, okay. And the part that I really like about it is the Lehigh Valley, because that way you're really targeting a particular community that has, well, I think we have like 800,000 people. So maybe you could look at, as far as like getting more details, like to be the competitive esports center of the Lehigh Valley for Lehigh Valley gamers. Because Lehigh Valley gamers, so now we have 800,000 people in Lehigh Valley. So now you're really talking to a sub segment of the Lehigh Valley. You're talking to Lehigh Valley gamers to be the premier place that they go to. So great. Thank you so much, Alberto. The purpose of this exercise, this may not be your final vision statement when you write it out on the business plan, but what it's designed to do is just to get your juices flowing, just to hear yourself saying it out loud, to writing it down. So that's what this exercise was really all about. So thank you. So now that you have your vision statement, you're looking at the future. Um, Now we want to look at the mission statement and some of the questions that you want to ask yourself. So the first question you're going to want to ask yourself is, what is the business market defining story? And all that means in a nutshell, Alberto, is every company has a backstory. Like, what is it that brought you to this place where you wanted to bring people together to game? Okay, you want to hone in on that story. Is it the fact that you've been gaming since you were 10 years old, and you're still doing it, and you're looking for the thing that you wish we had in the valley that there's not there right now? So you really want to hone into what your market defining story is for your esport company. And then the second question you want to ask yourself is, what will the business do for its customers? So when people come into your space, what are you doing for them? So you're giving them access to play games within a community. You may have light refreshments, bragging rights. So you even want to talk about the psychology of what are you doing for the customers? Um, because that's going to impact your mission. It's going to drive your mission on making sure the customers are so satisfied with their experience. And that goes back to your vision statement. A few things I wanted to talk to you about is, like, really talking about the experience you want the customer to have too in your vision statement. But you want that to show up as well in some form in your mission statement. Now, the third question you want to ask yourself is, what will the business do for its employees? So at first you may start this by yourself, but eventually you're going to hire person number one to help support you. What do you want to do for them? What is it that you want to do for your employees as you begin to bring people on, if you decide to go that route? And then the last question you should ask is, what will the business do for its owners? So you will start off as the chief owner, but let's say you bring in business partners. So you want to be clear about what you want the business to do for you as owners. Like I gave you in the last example, some people, they build a business with the intent to sell the business. That's what they want to do. They want to cash out. Some business owners, they want to hold the business because they want to continue to generate that cash flow to support their livelihood. So you want to really think about as far as like what it is that you want to do for the owners itself. Does that make sense? Put a 2 in the chat box if that makes sense. Great. Okay, we can move on. All right. Once again, I know you recognize these logos, but what I want to share with you are the different nuances of the mission statement. So if you look at somebody like Facebook, a lot of us use Facebook, and the mission for Facebook is to give people the power to build community so that we can bring the world closer together. Now, some people may say, well, that's how their mission started, but the Facebook is being used for more divisive reasons too. So people can question your mission, but the cool thing about a mission statement is, yes, have people use Facebook to actually be more divisive and destroy communities. If they stay focused on their mission, they can always course correct. Like I was saying earlier, the mission is always evolving and always changing. Okay? So having that mission statement is super important. Now, Microsoft, since you're a gamer, they own Xbox. So their mission is to empower every person and organization on the planet to achieve more. Now, I don't know everything about the Xbox, but I'm sure if you compare the Xbox and the PlayStation, they designed the Xbox with the idea of empowering you as a gamer to do more with the game, to achieve more in the game, based on the controls, on the gameplay, and all those different things. But their Microsoft's mission statement informs not just the Microsoft products, but the companies that they acquire or they build, like Xbox. You start to see that DNA within that. So these companies just don't arrive at these mission statements. So I want to share, are you familiar with the golden circle? Are you familiar with this idea of the golden circle? You can put yes or no. Nope. Okay. So I'm going to explain it to you. So the golden circle, the whole intent behind the golden circle is to get you to start with why. Asking yourself why. That's super important. The more you ask yourself why, it's like unpeeling the layers of an onion. And that why, or that mission, and that belief, that's going to be the thing that really resonates with people. It's really going to resonate with people. So once you figure out your why, then you can look at the how. And the how is going to be the point of difference. So we talked about this yesterday, Alberto, when I brought up the virtual cafe in the Lehigh Valley Mall, and we talked about how they deliver that experience to gamers. You told me, you said, Tremayne, what they do in the back, the competitive things that they do in the back, that's what I want to do. I want to make that to be the forefront of the business. So that's going to be your point of difference, is you want the gaming aspect to be at the forefront, not just the free play that anybody can just walk in and just play at random. You want to focus on the competitive side, and that's going to be your point of difference. Now, once you hone in on that point of difference, then you can begin to look at the products and the services that will come out of that point of difference. So in your case, if it's competitive, there may be tournament style gaming where you're creating these weekly tournaments. You can actually do leagues. Maybe you're hosting leagues for different things. You can create like a leaderboard. So once you figure out those point your why, your point of difference, then you start looking at the products and services you can offer around that. Does that make sense? Let me know in the chat if that makes sense. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So let's get into the skeleton of the mission statement. So the skeleton, there's two major components of the skeleton of the mission statement. It's the contribution that you want to make, and then the impact. And the impact is the byproduct of that contribution. So, for instance, the example given here is to inspire others to do things that inspire them. That's the contribution. The contribution is you want to. This statement is you want to inspire others to do things that inspire them. But the impact of helping people be inspired is so they can change the world. So we can change the world together. That's the impact. So the more people that can be inspired, the more ways we can change the world together. So what I want you to do is take 2 minutes, think about your mission statement. Like I said before, this may not be your final mission statement. The objective of this exercise is to get your brain, your juices flowing. So take 2 minutes and work on the mission statement, highlighting the contribution and the impact. When you're done, you can just drop it into the chat box. Okay, you can unmute your line and let me hear your mission statement. I like that. You came up with that at the top of your head. That's okay. So let's look at what part of that statement is the contribution part. That's the contribution. So there's a community of gamers that are here in the Lehigh Valley. You may not know who they are now, but you want to contribute this back to the Lehigh Valley. Okay, great. So what's the impact part of this statement? Oh, okay. So then I was gonna challenge you on the competitive prominence. I didn't that terminology. I wanted to dive deep into what you meant by competitive prominence, but you answered my question. That's the impact. You want the Lehigh Valley to be known for esports. Is there any other places in the country that's known for esports? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, what do you think the value would be of let's call it a second tier or third tier city to be prominent? So, what would be the value to your community of gamers? Um, yeah. Ah, I see. Okay. So your assumption is you're assuming that people, gamers in the Lehigh Valley, in order to be around other gamers, they need to either, especially if it's like a competitive thing, they need to go to Philadelphia or New York to experience that. And you're saying, hey, no more. We can do that here. Gotcha. Gotcha. Now that's the beginnings. This is the beginnings of a mission statement. That's the beginnings of a mission statement. Great. All right. So now that we have articulated, or the beginnings of articulating our mission and vision statement, you're going to want to get the word out. How do you get the word out? So the marketing plan is the comprehensive way of getting the word out uh, to the market, to the customers you want to serve, to the community of gamers. You want to be in their face with your messaging, and that's what we're going to look at. But before we do that, we're going to look at we're going to do a SWOT analysis. So we're going to do a quick audit. We're going to do a quick we're going to do a quick audit of we're going to do a quick audit of the SWOT analysis. So, are you familiar with a SWOT analysis, Alberto? Somewhat. Okay. So basically, what a SWOT analysis is, give me a second, quick. What a SWOT analysis is, it's looking at the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats that you may face as a new business. So, for instance, the strengths, these are these are the things that the company is going to do well. Now that because you're the sole person in the company, you're really going to be doing this SWOT analysis against your own experience. So, what are the things that you do well, Alberto? Are you a good gamer? Like, can you gain the respect of other gamers through your gaming? That needs to be a strength. Um, what are going to be some of the qualities as a gamer that's going to separate you from all the other gamers that are on Twitch right now? Okay? So you want to take some time to really look at some of the strengths that you're going to need in order for your message to make sense and that your message is consistent. And then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to look at your weaknesses, the things that your company lacks. Maybe you're not the best gamer, but your strength is you're good at bringing people together. So with the weaknesses, you want to look at some of the things that you lack in the beginning to get things started. You want to be honest with yourself about what are your competitors doing better than you. So, for instance, VR Cafe, what are they doing better than you? Because I know, like, they offer different snacks and they have a coffee bar. Like, that's something that they do that you may not be doing that. You want to look at what your resource limitations. Like, you might lack funds to get started. You might lack uh, support and help. So you want to assess your weaknesses. And the third thing is looking at the opportunities. So, are there any underserved markets for your gaming? So, for instance, you actually pinpointed the opportunity. The opportunity is that most of this gaming happens in the big cities, and a smaller community like the Lehigh Valley, because the Lehigh Valley is actually the combination of three different towns. It's not one major city, but it's looked at as one cohesive thing. It's an underserved market. So you pointed out, Alberto, that's an opportunity. Now, what makes this even more of an opportunity that the competitors that are in this space, like VR Cafe, there's very few of them, A, and then B, you're bringing the competitive part of it. You want to bring the competitive gaming part of it. So that's more of an opportunity. And then the last thing you want to look at is the threats, which once you get started, like you told me, when you went into VR Cafe, that's the thing that gave you the idea for your idea. So the owners at VR Cafe have no clue that you're emerging, that you're creating something for this same community that they're serving right now. So once you get started and once you get established, there's always going to be new people that are emerging. So you want to be clear about what your threats are. And like I said, like this helps you having an understanding of this and keeping your fingers on the pulse of your SWOT and analyzing yourself will keep you on point with your marketing. So for instance, when you see like a brand that slips up and the media crucifies this brand, and that happens to be their weakness, they use marketing now to issue a statement, to make a statement, or to say something to kind of cover it up. Or they're talking about their strengths. So understanding your SWOT analysis will help you in your messaging when you're putting together your marketing plan or where you're going to position yourself. Does that make sense? Great, great. Okay. Now, Alberto, are you familiar with the 4 Ps of marketing? Just put yes or no in the chat. The 4 Ps of marketing. No. Okay. So this is something. So the 4 Ps of marketing is a concept that was created in a time before the internet. Before the internet. And this is the way most business people thought about their marketing. Because it's a mix of things. It's not just one thing. Marketing is a mix of things that you cohesively put together to achieve one goal, and that's to satisfy your customer over and over and over again. So the first P in the marketing mix, and I know you see here there's 7 Ps, but I want to talk about they just added 3 more Ps over the last decade or so, and we'll talk about that. So the first P is product or service. Now you want to get clear on the services that you're going to offer. So let's say, Alberto, you're starting a tournament. You need to have a general idea of that as your product. That's your first product, a tournament. Maybe your second offering is league play, where now your community is forming teams and they're competing on a league basis. So these are examples of products that you're going to have to define for your business. So now that you have the product offering, you want to look at how are you going to promote these offerings. Now, there's so many tools to promote, especially with social media, with Twitch. Maybe you want to start a Twitch account. That's how you're going to do your promotion. Or you're promoting yourself first as a gamer so that you can build a community, and then you can find ways to bring people together. But promotion is going to be a critical part of building your business, getting the word out there and letting people know that you're in business. Now, the third P in the marketing mix is price. Now, we talked about the different offerings. So the question for you, Alberto, is what's the cost of being in a tournament? Like you want to put a price next to the tournament play. So maybe each player has to put in $100. They get these are the things that they get for the $100, and the winner gets a pot of $1,000. But you want to make sure you price it that you make a profit, you know. But you want to be able to price it according to the market. So you may be able to go and look at other esport facilities in the major cities, and maybe you can price the offering lower. So where you can draw people from the major cities, New York, Philadelphia, into our area. Because we have you have a lower price point. And then the fourth P is place. And you've already identified that. You want to be in the Lehigh Valley, and you want it to be a brick and mortar. But let me challenge you. Lehigh Valley is 3 different towns. Do you want it in Allentown? Do you want it in Bethlehem? Or do you want it in Easton? Because that's going to make a difference. And then specifically, let's say you want it in Allentown. Do you want it in Center City, Allentown? Do you want it on the east side? Do you want it on the South Allentown or the West Allentown? So you want to, where you place your esport business, especially if it's brick and mortar, is going to be crucial. Maybe you do it downtown Allentown because there's more foot traffic. Well, not now, but there could be more foot traffic. You can promote the people that come to the PP&L Center. You know, so you want to really hone in on, get specific about the place in your marketing mix. Now, like I said, this originally started with 4 Ps, but as over the last, I would say 5 to 10 years, they added 3 more Ps to it, which the 5th P is people. And this is who you termed as being the community of gamers. But not just the community of gamers. You want to think about everybody that would be impacted by the business. So you have the community. So it could be the people in the school districts, because maybe they're looking for something for their students to do. It could be restaurants, because maybe you can partner with the restaurant that when somebody goes out to eat, they can get they can participate, like people that come to the competitions, after they're done with the competitions, they can go out to eat to the pizza place. So you want to think about all the people that are going to be involved, starting with the customer, in making this marketing happen. So the next thing you want to look at is the process. So what is the process of setting up a tournament? What's the process of setting up leagues? You want to understand those processes, because those processes could make or break you. Why could they make or break you? Because let's say you have a tournament and your process, you're not delivering that tournament at the time that you said you're going to deliver it, because your processes were jacked up, then it's bad marketing. Because the worst form, or bad marketing, when word of mouth is the best form of advertising, of marketing, word of mouth marketing. But when bad news travels, you know this, it travels fast. So you want to make sure that your processes are in place, and that and you're a project manager, so I'm sure you understand that part in terms of making sure the project is managed properly when you're putting together your tournaments and all your other offerings. And then the last P is physical evidence. And the way physical evidence shows up is, well, the first part is the brick and mortar, the way that it's designed. When people walk into your space, Alberto, you want their mouth to drop. Like, wow, like we've been waiting for something like this. That's evidence that you're here. That's a part of your marketing. You want your space to be Instagrammable, that people are taking pictures, they're TikToking your space, and they're sharing it with their friends. So physical evidence, the way you want to think about how you want your space to look, because that's marketing within itself. So, did you have any questions about that? Not yet. Okay. So I'm going to move on. All right. So now that we that was a 30,000 foot view of the marketing plan. Those are two tools. So the SWOT analysis and the 7 P's of marketing mix are just tools that no matter what business you're in, it's good to have in your back pocket. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go a little bit deeper into like things that you should be thinking about, questions you should be asking before you start writing your marketing plan. So the first question is, who is your target market demographic? And I think you've already discovered that. Your target market are gamers in the Lehigh Valley. But are you familiar with the term demographic? You can just put yes or no in the chat. Do you know what demographic means? Demographic. What is a demographic? You do know what a demographic is. Okay, yes. So demographic can be broken down when you know you want gamers, but it helps you get more specific. So demographic can look at age. It could be like a high school student. It could be ethnic demographic. It could be like black, white, Spanish. You can classify it as interest. Do they share the same interests even outside of gaming? All these things create a persona. Like, can you visualize that person that's walking into that store? What does that person look like? What are their expectations? That's your target market. So the second question you want to ask yourself is there a need or want for this type of business? Alberto, we all have ideas. We all have ideas. But the question is, does anybody even want your idea? Is there a need or want? So one of the things you want to do is you want to validate your assumption. Your assumption is that people in the Lehigh Valley drive out to New York or Philadelphia to get this competitive gaming experience. You need to find out, maybe you're asking a friend or a group of your friends that live in the Lehigh Valley and say to them, hey, I'm thinking about starting this space where we could all come together and compete in tournaments or leagues. Would you be interested in something like this? Now, if you ask 5 of those friends and 4 out of those 5 friends say, heck yeah, I'm definitely looking for something like that, then that validates your business. I mean, at a very small level, but I'm sure they have friends that you don't know. Now, if 2 out of those 5 say, you know what, that sounds like, I don't know if that will work. Maybe that's not validating your idea. So you want to really know, because you don't want to spend time and money on something that no one wants. Agree? So the third question is, where would be the best location? And we talked about this when we looked at the 7 Ps. Now, you said you wanted to have the location in the Lehigh Valley, but where? Where would be the best location? Maybe it's Airport Road because it's on 22 and you can capture the people that are coming on 78 or 22. So you want to think about that. Maybe it's near the airport somewhere. You want to think about where the best location is when you're putting together your business plan. Now, your marketing plan. Right now, it might be fictitious, but have fun with it. Have fun with it. If in an ideal world, where would you put it? You know, and I'm just giving you like off the top of my head, I'm giving you suggestions. I'm thinking near the airport or near close to where people can hop on 22 or 78. It could be a good through line, or somewhere on like Union Boulevard, where you look at those streets, because it seems like it's going to be potentially a traffic heavy business. Okay, and what would be the price? So what you want to do is you want to offer maybe one or two different offerings. You don't want to spread yourself too thin. So maybe you're offering just a tournament play offering. And that's something you can do at a small scale where you can go to the local high schools and say, I'm doing a tournament for high school students. It's $50 to enter. And you get this, you get this, and you get this. The winner of the tournament takes home this. So you want to get specific about what those numbers, the pricing could potentially look like. So that way it will let you know if you're reaching your goals, if you're hitting your goals. And the last thing you want to ask yourself is, how does your target market make purchasing decisions? Now, this gets into the psychology of the gamer. Okay. So, the gamer, you want to get into their mind. Why what makes them pay money to go into a tournament? Or do they even pay money to go into a tournament? These are some of the things that you're going to have to research and find out on what makes them join a league. What makes, how they're so competitive. They don't just want to just do it just by themselves. They want to actually be a part of a team, a league. You want to get into why they even do that. So those are some of the questions now these aren't all the questions, Alberto, but these are just some of the questions you need to ask yourself to get the juices flowing when you're writing this business, the marketing plan, when you're putting that together. So do you have any questions about the marketing plan? Okay. So usually we would have an exercise at the end of this, but what we're going to do is I'm going to leave you with this because I'm going to keep it more open-ended, because your next steps is you're going to need to look at the draft that your professor gave you. So when you start that section, you're going to use the guidelines of the draft to actually help you fill out the marketing plan. So with that said, that's the end of learning how to write your mission, vision statement, and also working on your marketing plan. So our next workshop is going to be our next open workshop is going to be on Monday, where we're going to look at the financial plan. And that's why it's so important for you to get the pricing down as you're working on your marketing plan, because you're going to need those numbers. You're going to need to, if you decide to go with the tournament as your first product offering, you're going to need to know how many tournaments am I going to have to do to break even? How many tournaments am I going to need to do to profit? What are going to be the expenses involved in getting this tournament together? So we're going to talk about that next week. So we're going to do, and then we're also going to look at the operations and staffing plans. What are the small things you're going to need to do to operate your business? And once you start staffing it, what does that look like? So the way this is structured, and we talked about this in Alberto, you've been able to take advantage of both of them. So the open workshop will be on Mondays and Wednesdays, and it's going to be one at 11, 3, and 5, just like today. So today was our 5 o'clock session, and they're going to run about an hour. So what you would need to do is just shoot me an email, let me know which one you want to go to. And then the one-on-one sessions, like we did yesterday, are going to be more designed around getting into the nitty-gritty. So after you're done writing your marketing plan, you can submit it to me, and then I can add some notes, recommendations to that to make sure that you're on the right track. So with that said, any questions? Anything else you want me to dig deeper into? Great. I hope that helped, Alberto. what I'll do is give me about a day or two. I'll send over this a PowerPoint. This is a PowerPoint if you want to look at it, and then we'll also be give you access to the recording as well at some point. Okay, you have a good day, and if you want to meet with me, just shoot me an email of what works best for you. Yep, yep. Have a good one. Bye bye.